Many couples seem to get stuck in an unpleasant dance where one person's anguished desperation meets the other person's dogged resistance. Today's speaker will explain how couples caught in this unpleasant dance can unravel their survival knot. Welcome to the Women in Love Summit. Sigmund Freud asked this question many decades ago, and I'm asking it again. What do women want? I am your host, Dr. Erica Goodstone. In this event, I'm speaking with leading authors, teachers, trainers, therapists, coaches, and healthcare professionals to discover what women want, need, desire, and what interferes with and what enhances their capacity to give love. And today I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with Hedy Schleifer. She is a licensed psychologist, licensed clinical psychologist, and a licensed mental health counselor and a trainer around the world for a long time, really teaching men and women, couples, how to create fabulous relationships. So I'm delighted to welcome you today.
Well, thank you, Erica. I loved your introduction, and I just thought of one thing when you said our capacity to give love, and it's also our capacity to receive love, because both are essential to be able to really put out the love we carry and take in the love we receive.
That's huge. And as you're saying that, when you're part of a couple and you're giving this love and not receiving, the other person gets disempowered.
Right. Yeah, so I'm just delighted to be with you. And I really feel like this is the right time for you to be doing these conferences. Our planet needs all of us to put out everything we carry inside that is human, loving, generous in spirit. Our planet wants us in our humanity. And I have heard a lovely saying the other day, humankind, be both.
Humankind, wow.
Be both. So I want to say a little bit about me. I think my biggest credential is I've been married to my sweet man for 52 years.
And that alone is amazing when you look at the statistics.
You know, and everything that I do, I've learned in that relationship. So unraveling the survival knot is really, as you described it, where, and I like to describe it this way, where one person's toughest neighborhood in their world meets the other person's toughest neighborhood in their world. And where those two tough neighborhoods meet each other, there's a knot. And in that knot, there is stuck energy. And nothing moves. And really, in that place, couples can't even get advice, because where there is stuck energy, people can't be creative. So I have designed a map, which I'll describe to you, on how to open it on one side and how to open it on the other side. And once there's energy there, in where there was stuckness, when there is energy there, people can be creative. And that's when they have totally new provocative ideas on how to navigate their relationship, which they couldn't have before because there was the knot.
And I would love to hear your background, but I just want to respond to that. When they're stuck in that knot, they don't see the joy in each other, and then they get interested maybe in someone outside.
Yes.
Who kind of distracts them with something that looks good for a while.
Well, the survival knot, without the couple knowing it, is an invitation to further distress in the relationship. And that's why it's so important for couples to know, first of all, that it's natural to have this knot. Every single couple in every single country, in every single culture is stuck in a survival knot. It's a universal phenomenon. And so it really is important for couples to be able to unravel that knot so that they are joyful, as you said, joyful and relaxed in their connection. And I just want to add, I know you want my credentials there, a
Not
little
so
bit
much
about
credentials as your
my
background. So
background,
people
yes.
understand.
But I just want to say that, when couples are in that knot, they are in a vicious cycle, and it is a natural one. And so knowing that it's normal is also, it's not a problem in the relationship, it's a normal phenomenon. Relationships do get into that knot, and once it's open, they can mature and grow as the relationship is asking them to mature and grow relationally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's so powerful. So the question is, how did you begin with all this? What's your background in education and
great,
training? And
great,
I would love you to talk about how you created the Tekin Center, what it means. Yeah.
great. So it all started when I went to school at UCLA, and I wanted to study psychology, but I got to work with rats. And I so deeply connected to those rats that I couldn't stand the fact that we were killing them for scientific reasons. And I remember feeling like, wait a minute, rats is not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing people. And so slowly but surely, I got a BA and an MA at Tel Aviv University, and I began to work with families and individuals and children. I had a general practice. And my relationship with my husband was, and now I know it, stuck in a survival knot. I didn't know it. I adore the man, he adores me, and yet we couldn't make productive progress in our relationship. And I became interested in couples. And the reason I became interested in couples is I wanted a connection with my husband. And so in studying couples, slowly but surely, first really integrating imago relationship theory and practice, and then evolving it into encounter-centered couples therapy, I then knew how, and my husband knew how, to go to the toughest neighborhood of our relationship. And it's only when we went to the toughest neighborhood of our relationship and had the courage to do it, the authenticity to do it, and the integrity to do it, that we could create a coherent relationship. And so I now am a specialist in couples. The Tikkun Learning Center was the beginning of the evolution of this integration of encounter-centered couples therapy. It is actually not even therapy, it's encounter-centered couples transformation, because I do believe that we're not wounded. We don't need therapy, but we do need transformation. I think our journeys are heroic. I think we, each and every one of us, is a hero and a heroine of an unbelievable story of courage and resilience. Yet, we do need transformation, because in living that journey, our brain got wired in one context that wasn't as useful as the context we want to create now, a context where we can be relaxed and joyful in connection. And so that really is what I began to develop in the Tikkun Learning Center, training therapists in encounter-centered couples therapy all over the world. In 2 days, we're leaving for South Africa, where we have trained 150 therapists. There are now 300 doing an evolution of the work that we have brought to them. And we're going there for 3 weeks to bring trainings and workshops in encounter-centered couples therapy.
Yes. First, I know that you did a TEDx talk in Tel Aviv.
Yes, the power of connection. And in it, I describe the basis of the work that I'm going to be presenting, which is a guiding principle. What always disconnects us is the survival dance. What always connects us is the embrace of 3 invisible connectors. And here they are. One connector is our honoring of the relational space. the space between us. It isn't in you, it isn't in me, it lives between us. And when we know that space, and when we make it safe and enrich it, then we are already feeling connected. The first person to mention that space was the philosopher Martin Buber, a 20th century Jewish philosopher. And he said, our relationship lives in the space between us, and that space is sacred. So when a couple knows how to sanctify the space between, that is the first invisible connector. The second connector is a bridge. And the bridge is there because when a couple is together, they're together because they're incompatible. Only incompatible people fall in love. Because you know what? If two people are the same, one of them is superfluous. People find each other because of that incompatibility, where one person is fully alive, the other person is not so well connected. Where the other person is fully alive, the first person isn't so well connected. And in the relationship, they can achieve wholeness. But they need this bridge because they need to be able to cross the bridge to come to know their partner and learn their language. A good marriage is a bilingual marriage in which each person speaks two languages, their own and the one of their partner, because they visited over the bridge and they got to know their partner and the language of their partner. So the second invisible connector is a bridge. It's invisible, yet it's there. And learning how to cross it and become a visitor with new eyes in the world of your partner is one of the most important skills you could possibly.
You added something that's so important in there, to visit with new eyes.
Exactly.
Because we visit the place, but we have our own judgments.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, a French poet by the name of Marcel Proust said something very wise that is at the core of these new eyes. He said, the adventure of life is not the discovery of new landscape, is the capacity to see the old one with new eyes.
Wow.
And that's what you bring when you come over the bridge, is you bring that capacity to have new eyes for the landscape of your partner, whom you think you know. But with the new eyes, you discover parts of the landscape you would never know.
I like how you're talking about it because it doesn't sound as scary.
Right.
We talk about intimacy, and I keep hearing the words that it's scary to open up with somebody.
Right. See, but you cross the bridge and you bring your new eyes. Exactly. Now, the third invisible connector is the encounter, was also described by this philosopher, Martin Buber. And the encounter is that magical time where you really feel oneness with another person. You feel like there are no boundaries. We are in eternal time. We could stay here forever. I feel so right with you. I feel like myself. I feel like you are you. And yet we are profoundly connected. It's the encounter. But that doesn't only happen with a person. It happens in nature, for example. You can go to nature and suddenly you find yourself in the encounter with nature. It isn't nature and you anymore. It's all one. And your eyes are wide open and your ears are wide open and your senses are alive. And you feel like you've never seen nature as beautiful as in that moment. That's the encounter. You can have it with music, where suddenly it isn't you and the music, but it's all one, and you start crying. You don't even know why, because the music is so beautiful, and it's going through every fiber of your being. That's the encounter with music. And a sports team can even play in the zone of the encounter, where suddenly they're not playing anymore. They're flying, they're dancing, they're all one in this entrainment, like birds, you know, when they fly together, or fish when they swim together. The team is in the zone of the encounter. So the encounter is a very beautiful, magical, miraculous zone we as human beings are wired to experience. And so here are the three connectors together. If you honor the space and you cross the bridge with your new eyes, you will create the conditions for the encounter. And that's how those three invisible connectors are connected to each other.
Well, so I have a question about that.
Right.
Since this summit is focused more on women, is there something that you've noticed, a difference between the way men and women approach those three aspects? And is there something that women can do to enhance it, to help it to happen?
Well, it's very interesting you asked the question, because in the survival dance, and I'm just going to describe the core of the survival dance, and then I'll come to women. In the survival dance, people usually, primarily, either expand their energy, they're in your face, they're loud, they're emotional, they can't stop talking, or they withdraw and constrict. And those two energies are the energies of the reptilian brain. I'm in danger right now. Let me save my skin. And some of us save our skin by becoming, the metaphor I use is hailstorms. We're just out there raining on you. Others save their skin by becoming turtles. They withdraw into their shell and they're hidden in there, and also they don't say a word. And most couples have that as their survival dance. One is the hailstorm, the other one is the turtle. There are marriages where there are two hailstorms, and those are usually very volatile, loud, and sometimes aggressive marriages. There are marriages, there are two turtles, and those are very boring, quiet marriages. But most marriages fall into the category of one person expanding their energy and the other one constricting. And in the unraveling of the survival knot, we create so much safety that actually the hailstorm and turtle disappear. But what I wanted to say about women is that in our culture, not in all cultures, but in our culture, we women are usually the hailstorm. When we feel in danger, we expand on energy, we talk more, we express more, we come into your face, we can't stop, we shake you, we demand from you. Men fall more into the category of turtle. They constrict, they hide, they're in their shell, and they're not going to come out of there too soon because they know they're going to get killed in this weather. Now, my husband and I, when we danced that dance, we were the Olympic champion of it. You see, we had the gold medal of the hailstorm turtle dynamic. And it's really good for us to know that we were those champions, because it just normalizes it for every single couple. That dance is inevitable. It's energetic. And when you're in danger, you will expand your energy as a woman in our culture. What can you do? Well, the unraveling is a mutual affair, because certainly what makes it safe is for each person to do the opposite of what the instinct tells them to do. The woman has to learn to withdraw some, to give space some, not to talk so much when it's dangerous, not to talk so much, to breathe and allow things to reveal themselves. The man has to learn how to talk more, come out of their shell, say something. But in order for that to occur, they've got to unravel that knot, because otherwise it's too dangerous for the woman to stop talking, and it's too dangerous for the man to talk, because they've not yet unraveled the knot. Am I making sense?
Yes. I'm just thinking, as you're talking about men who are raging, they're angry and raging.
Some men,
same? Yeah.
Some men are hailstorms, and then their women will be turtles. They'll be inside their shell. I'm really talking about a majority in the Western culture. However, in my relationship with Yumi, when I would rain on his shell for a while, sometimes he would become a ninja turtle, and he would step out of that shell and become rageful. But you know what? Energetically, then I would become the turtle. So when you look at in what we do in danger, it stays in balance. When one hails, the other one turtles. When one turtles, the other one hails. And that's the dynamic in danger. And in our workshops, our 3-day workshops for couples, we invite every single person that identifies with a hailstorm to stand up and stand in a hailstorm congregation. And we invite everyone who identifies with the turtles to stand in a turtle congregation. And it's amazing. But the workshop splits in two. And usually husbands are on one side, wives are on the other. And what's so beautiful is that they never knew they had a community. See, like they look around, oh, turtles of the world, unite.
But do you sometimes have men in the women's group and women in the men's group?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in some countries, it doesn't divide equally husband-wives. There are turtles on one side, hailstones, and there are men and women. So it's kind of cultural. I think our culture has given women an advantage emotionally, and we're more comfortable with strong emotions. And so in danger, we can express them and express them too much. Our culture hasn't been as kind, I think, to men in terms of really giving them the emotional vocabulary. And so the emotional comfort, really. And so when things are dangerous, men lose their words. Women find more words. And that's a part of...
We can all identify with that.
Exactly right, And it's very nice when couples realize this is such a universal dynamic. We're all hailstones and turtles. And it's going to be really nice for us to unravel that knot, because then that dynamic does not have to hijack us. It's a hijack of the old brain. And the turtle and the hailstone is not who the couple is. Their essence, their beautiful human essence is not that.
Well, that beautiful essence is what you find at the beginning when you're dating, getting to know each other.
Exactly. And then you wonder, where did that person disappear? And the person didn't disappear, but the survival dance has taken over.
Oh, wow. You talk about something called the art of hosting and the art of visiting and these different neighborhoods. So talk about that, please.
So what I teach couples so that they can ultimately unravel their knot is I teach them the art of hosting. How do I bring you into my world authentically, naked, transparently, really with full truth? How do I take you into my world that way? How do I take you and let you see me, like intimacy is into me seen? How do I host you so that you...
I would like to add something. When you say, how do I host you? The way people do it is they're letting you see into me with a judgment toward you.
Right.
There's some kind of judgment in there and the person doesn't feel safe, even though you're sharing.
And so hosting is the absolute opposite of that. Hosting is really making the person feel like, I'm going to show myself to you and even explore myself with you and find and reveal myself in ways I don't even know myself because you're present with me. So that's hosting. Visiting is being willing to have new eyes, leave the world I know, my opinions and my presuppositions and my judgments or whatever's my world, even my story with you, and be in the present with you. Cross a bridge in the present. Now. And when I land in your world, I'm there now with new eyes. And I let myself be surprised by you because I'm learning you. That's visiting. And it's an art. The reason I call them both an art, because it takes time to develop the art of hosting, the art of visiting. And then the neighborhoods is a metaphor. Like you, Erica, you're a big world and you're an expanding world because you're always ready to learn, always ready to grow, always ready to develop yourself. So you're an expanding world and you're filled with neighborhoods. Some you know, some you don't know. Some are tough neighborhoods. Some are precious. Like you love those neighborhoods because you feel like yourself there. The world has many, many neighborhoods. And in the unraveling of the survival knot, a couple has developed their art of hosting, their art of visiting enough to be able to visit the toughest neighborhood. So we start not with the toughest neighborhood. We start with a precious neighborhood where we have resources and strengths. And we learn to visit there and we learn to host there so that that art of hosting and visiting becomes ingrained enough so that we can go to the toughest neighborhood where it feels dangerous actually to go visit. But we now know how to visit and host.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about trauma. Someone who's had trauma, I imagine that would be that tough neighborhood.
Yes.
They respond, they get defensive.
Yes. The story of the trauma is one neighborhood in a person's world. And the capacity to host there, really to take somebody in there, the capacity to visit there with new eyes and be fully present is an art. And couples, when they learn the art of visiting and the art of hosting, they learn how to visit any neighborhood. You see, to have the muscle of hosting and visiting so well developed that you can go into, for example, a neighborhood of trauma and make it a useful, productive, connective visit. Yes, indeed.
And the word there is connected.
Connected. Exactly. Yes. Yes. So about unraveling that survival knot, I will not start there with a couple, even though when the couple comes to see me, that knot is present. But I start with their wildest dreams and their deepest aspirations and their greatest longings, because when we put that on the horizon, there's a direction in which to go. I don't want to start where it's the toughest for them. I want to start where there is most light, the future, a vision, a dream, and that's where I start. And then I teach them the art of hosting, the art of visiting in various neighborhoods, and then I say to them, now you're good enough a host and good enough a visitor, we can unravel the survival knot. And by then, the couple feels comfortable to go to the toughest neighborhood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the map of how I proceed. You can stop me at any time if you have.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But I'm going to give you the map because over time I've realized that I'm a guide for couple. I'm not a therapist, I'm a guide and a teacher. I guide them into a lot of territory where alone they cannot go. I'm kind of the guide into the jungle. And if you're going to be a guide in the jungle, you better give people a map of where they're going, because otherwise it's just too scary. If they don't know where this is going to go, it's scary and it's unnecessarily scary. So I have decided that I'm going to design a map, and I'll give the map to the couple. And then they can see the map and they can ask any questions about the map. Then when their questions are answered and they're comfortable, we can travel.
And you also give them tools. The tools are ahead of time.
Exactly right. They've got the tools, they've got the skill. And now they're going to have the map. And once they've got the tools, the skill, and a map, we can go. And that is really something I developed over time, because I myself didn't know how to go into that jungle with my husband, And it was from really visiting with him in that really rough territory that the idea of a map came up. Let's have a map for people to enter this rough territory. So here is how it works. You were going to say something.
Yeah, just that you've made it so universal and so beautiful for someone to hear about it that it's not so threatening.
Right.
They could be a lot more willing to go there when they see it as a journey that all of us are on.
Exactly. A journey that all of us are on. Yeah. So I say, by the way, that our relationship is not a problem to be solved. It's an adventure to be lived. So it is not a problem to be solved. So when we unravel the survival knot, we are not solving a problem. We're going on an adventure. And we're going to live that adventure. And the whole relationship, as it moves, is going to be an adventure to be lived with the right equipment. You know, because when you're going to go on an adventure, you better have the right equipment. And if it's going to be like rappelling, there have to be ropes and harness and, you know, all the things that make the adventure fun. And so that's why the map and the skills and the tools and the preparation, so that the adventure, and I'm not saying is fun, but is enjoyable. Okay, so I say the following to the couple. I say to them, now that you know the neighborhoods, I'm going to ask you to name the toughest neighborhood in your relationship with one word. Now, you know, it's quite a challenge to take a dynamic that's been there for years and give it one word. But that is the first step, because unless you can boil it down to one word, we're not going to be able to go into that neighborhood. So people, when they name it, say the neighborhood of despair, or the neighborhood of I'm never good enough, or the neighborhood of abandonment. You know, like they find the common denominator in a very big dance that's been there for years, but suddenly they know the name.
And who says it? Do you say it about your own neighborhood?
You say it about your own neighborhood. So we're going to have two neighborhoods. For example, the neighborhood of despair and the neighborhood of rejection, let's say. So I say to the couple, you're going to name your neighborhood. And once you've named it, we're going on a journey. And now on a flip chart, I'm going to show you where we're going. So I put a very big rectangle on the flip chart. And I say, that's the neighborhood. And when you go in it, when you're the host, you're going to be talking. And your partner is going to have crossed the bridge and come to be very present with you with their new eyes. And you're going to notice that if you speak your truth, you will only be able to say 4 things without repeating yourself. Because once you can say the truth, you'll notice that you've been circling this truth now for years, saying the same thing in blue, in yellow, in purple, but it's the same thing. Well, today, on International Unraveling the Survival Knot Day, when you get to that little ball where what you say is the same, and I take notes so I can see that it's the same, you'll notice it, or I'll notice it, then you say something you've never said before. And you dare to say it because it's Unraveling the Survival Day. And you'll notice that if you speak a deeper truth, a more authentic truth, and your partner is fully present, brings you their new eyes, it'll be like popcorn. Suddenly, more truths are going to come out that you've never said before. And you'll feel like, whoa, I've thought this, or I've meant to say this, but I've never known how. It's never been safe for me to speak this. But here's my partner with loving eyes, totally present. And then you speak all this. And when the popcorn has stopped popping, you'll be at a new juncture. And that juncture is the most important one. It's I don't know. See, because you're going to get to I don't know. Because everything you know has been said. So you don't know. And what's amazing about I don't know is that if you can feel I don't know in connection with a loving other, something will show up that is underneath I don't know. You didn't know you didn't know it, but it's true. And you will find it, it will pop up, and there it is. And so I don't know is like a corridor into a new knowing. Nothing new has ever been known without not knowing. You know, big inventions come from I don't know. The courage to not know brings a new something into light. And so I explained to the couple, when you're going to get to that juncture, it's going to be the best. because you will have the chance to not know in connection. And then you'll grab the next thing that shows up. And as you continue to travel, you will arrive at Main Square. The main square of that neighborhood is a statement that is life-affirming, life-giving, and coherent, but you've never said it. Because given the journey you have been on, you had never have the permission to speak this. And that's Main Square. It's a liberating statement that allows you to feel like, wow, where has this statement been all my life? It's true. And the reason we arrive at Main Square is because what is now understood in relational neurobiology, the brain has an error detection mechanism. And if you have felt about yourself things that aren't true, if your partner looks at you with loving eyes and you're saying these things that have just been part of your life and your survival, but you juxtapose that to the partner who just looks at you and says, oh, I love you so much and I'm so glad to be with you and thank you for saying all this, then the brain is going to choose a statement that is true instead of the statement that you have had to live with to survive your childhood. Error correction from the brain, it chooses the life-affirming statement. And you find it, and that's your Main Square. It's like, whoa. I'll give you an example. The woman who's lived her whole life in self-hate. And it started, the 4 first statements was how she hates him. Then it was how she hates herself. I don't know. And finally where she got to in Main Square was, I'm a radiant being woven in the womb of God.
Wow.
Where did that come from? Well, it happens to be the truth. She's a radiant being woven in the womb of God. But she could never have discovered this had she not gone all the way through the I don't knows and her truth. And that brain gave her that one, as opposed to you're just a disgusting person. You see, like the brain won't accept that you need the juxtaposition of another brain that's looking at you with patience and delight and generosity of spirit. And
then when you feel that, what
wow,
a difference.
Wow. Okay. But now that's the first part of the journey. It's that place where finally you get to Main Square. And then you sit on a bench and you sit in the sun on that bench with your partner. I'm a radiant being woven in the womb of God. You can even put a little plaque on that bench. God loves you, or whatever you want to call that bench, because that's a bench you're going to have to sit on many times together to strengthen the truth, right? Just strengthen the truth as a couple. So that's step number 1.
Wow.
Right? Wow. And it's all natural. It's just a wow, because we're wired this way. We're wired for life-affirming truths. We're wired this way. So this will come to us. No therapist has to give that up to us. We will have it emerge from within. And that piece is nice to know. Whether we're a woman or a man, it will emerge. There we're completely equal. You see, we're not equal in the survival dance with that hailstone turtle dynamic. But in terms of arriving at Main Square, we're completely equal. Then I tell them we're going to go to the next square, next rectangle, and I put it up on the flip chart. It's called core reason. Why do you have to tell your husband today that you are a radiant being woven in the womb of God? Why were you born? What's the highest purpose of your marriage? What's the highest purpose of your life? Let's look at the core reason why you are here on earth. Why are you on this planet? And we all need to know our core reason. My core reason is what I'm telling you right now. I was born to speak this, and I know it. And that's my core reason. I was born in the war. And I have to speak the 3 invisible connectors so the planet can be in connection.
Mm-hmm.
and can transcend wars. That's really my core reason. But we all need to know our core reason. And it's a nice time to claim it after you've claimed your main square. And so people explore, why am I in this relationship? Why am I here? And they speak it, and it becomes a mantra. We write it down, and it becomes a mantra for their life. Now, that's not the end of the journey, but we're going to take a break here because this takes about an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half. So when we're done with this, I say to the couple, we're going to look at what we have learned from this. And I have the couple write what I learned, what I relearned, what surprised me, and what intrigues me. Because this is big stuff that just occurred. And we better integrate it. You know,
Yes.
we've got to integrate all this. So we're going to take time, and we're also going to take a pee break because, you know, time to pee also. So that's there, and it's on the map. There's a line that says learnings, break. Then the couple comes back, and I say to them, we're going to go into a new, bigger rectangle. That's going to be the biggest one. It's called implicit memory. So there's two kinds of memories. There's implicit memory, there's explicit memory. Explicit memory, what I know. This person did that, and I did this, and it was then, and then this one came in, and then I went out, and it hurt me like this, and explicit. Implicit is it all occurred, but I have no memory of it. It's in my fiber. And unless we make implicit explicit, those implicit memories will continue to fuel the tough neighborhood. You see, because unless we dissolve the fuel, there's no reason not to relive that tough neighborhood. So we've got to go to the fuel. And the fuel is in the implicit memory. And the way we enter implicit is by having random images come up, because we have a narrative of our childhood, but that is not our implicit memory. That is the narrative of our explicit memory. There is a different narrative, and we need to find it. And I found a wonderful way to retrieve 5 totally random pictures, totally random. And those 5 random pictures give you the archetype of your heroic journey. Because each one of us is a hero and heroine of a journey. We've never seen it that way. We've seen the trauma. See, because the brain is focused on surviving pain. But when you randomly pick images, you'll find a hero. It's so amazing. I've done this now so much. When you randomly pick pictures, you don't get trauma. You get a hero and a heroine. And that's so beautiful. And so I say to the couple, we're going to find the hero and the heroine here. And then you're going to have a chance to enter the childhood of your partner with a time machine, because you know we're in the 21st century. They're time machines. You can take a time machine from July 31st, 2017 and go back to the home of your partner and enter it as their future partner, to talk with father, to talk with mother, even to talk with your partner when they were 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever, and say the things that were important to be spoken as a champion and an advocate and somebody who really wants this child to know, first of all, that they're a hero, and secondly, that things will be good in the future, you know, and explain and bring the good tidings. So that piece also takes about an hour and a quarter, because you want the person whose childhood is being visited to really feel like every message has been delivered. And their partner will say, have I said everything to everyone you'd like for me to talk to?
Wow, that's
I'm here. I know, I'm here with a time machine. I can stay as long as you want me to. And so the partner often sends them with messages, let's say to a grandmother who didn't come out in the 5 images, but is such an important person there because she loved that person unconditionally. And they just want their partner to go say, thank you to Nana. Thank you, Nana, for loving this little person so much and for giving them such a sense of themselves when things were a little tough in their home. You know, like There are messages you would never know about.
This is amazing
This is
intimacy.
amazing, right?
We haven't heard of it this way before.
Yes, couples love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. They're ready for it, though, you know. And so then, this is a very beautiful scene. The partner who's come with a time machine says to the little person, and I'm going to give you a big kiss on your forehead because I'm going back to the future where I'm going to meet you. You know, we're going to meet there. But I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to give you a big kiss on your forehead. And you'll never forget that kiss. You know, they give a kiss, and the one who's the child says, don't go. Stay with me. It's so nice to have you here. It's amazing because it becomes a real encounter. You see? And then the other one says, but I'll see you. I promise you, I'll see you in the future. Bye. It's such a poignant scene for that child.
Beautiful.
Let go of the partner who's going back to the future to meet them there with a very big kiss on their forehead. And so that moment is profound because it's a real encounter. And then we go to the last rectangle, which I put on the flip chart, and that rectangle is visceral understanding. Because you know, when you do this kind of a journey, it's your body gets transformed. Your brain begins to do reconsolidation. It gets consolidated one way, but there is an opening suddenly for new wiring. So there's a new experience in the body. It's not a new understanding. It's not intellectual. It's visceral. And then they will tell each other, you know, this is my visceral understanding. This is what's happening in my body right now. I feel like I'm a new person. And so that, again, will be integrated with learnings and relearnings and surprises and intrigues. And that's the map I show them.
That's absolutely beautiful. I do a type of mind-body therapy. I'm trained in that, where the body holds so much. And I've had that experience with someone coming to that truth and the visceral experience. However, I never had it framed the way you framed it.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Yes. And see, then I say to the couple, any questions, any comments, because we want all that cleared up before we go on our journey. You know, we're going to take this journey on both sides. And we want it all clear. And that's so rewarding for the couple to be able to say, yeah, so what exactly happens in that main square? How does that reveal itself? You know, to be able to really talk it through. It's not a mystery. I mean, it's a mystery because when it reveals itself, it's always a mystery. But they feel empowered for the journey.
That's just so beautiful to look at the relationship as a journey, as a hero's journey.
As a hero's journey. That's exactly it. A hero's journey.
So please, we're running out of time. I mean, I could listen to this for hours. So please tell us, the summit is in October. So what events do you have coming up around that time?
Okay, so first of all, we're leaving for South Africa, and we're going to be doing a couples workshop, a training for therapists, a training for presenters, how to really be effective and impactful in our presentation, and then a training for a relational organization. How can organizations grow their relational maturity? So that's what we're doing in South Africa. When we come back, we're going to have a couples workshop in Miami and an evening talk that will be very similar to the one I just had with you. And we're also going to do in Miami the presentational skills, presenting with boldness and confidence. And then we're going to Europe again. We're going to do our work in Belgium, Germany, Austria, and Belgium and France. Paris, Berlin, Vienna, and Brussels.
Wow.
I know.
The world needs this. For the couples, for the organizations, we need this. It's so beautiful.
Yes. And it can all be seen on our website. It's Hedy Yumi, Hedy Yumi, at hedyyumi.com. So our website has all the dates and all the events that people can check out.
Well, it's been absolutely delightful to hear about your hero's journey. It's so profound. It's such intimacy that people probably could not have in another way.
Exactly, exactly. And thank you so much for your listening and your smile and your deep presence. You deeply understand because of your own hero's journey. You really understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Wow. You are a gift to the audience. Absolutely.
Thank you, Erica.
So thank you so much for coming.
And a big hug. Bye-bye.
And a kiss on the forehead.
And a kiss on the forehead till I see you again. Indeed. Bye.
And to those of you listening, I look forward to speaking to you again soon.